All right, shalom, shalom. First things first, I want to give our honor and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kodash. We say Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, and Barakat Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Bahashem, Kodash. And we give double honors to our apostles and our elders, which are the apostle elders, a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai. 2025, which is the hopeful year of our deliverance and the judgment and the destruction of Esau. Let's jump into this lesson. This is from Redacted. So there's information coming out about the Lahaina Hawaiian fire that took place. And we've already known this information is coming out, but there are actually results and things that are being found out that Esau is manipulating the weather. When we know this, okay, and that's why he has space-based weapons. He has these DEMS, what is that? Direct energy weapons, do weapons, direct energy weapons, which the Lord gave him this technology. It's nothing new. This was used in the ancient world. If you look in the time of Moses, when the Lord said that he wrote the law, the fiery law with his hands, that was a laser. That was a direct energy because what could write on stone? He wasn't chipping. All right, the Heavenly Father in His glory wasn't chipping away at stones with a supposed chisel and chiseling out the laws that Moses had on the tablets. Okay, when Moses came out of that chariot, which the apostle brought out, that the mountain had to be a huge fathership, okay, that Moses was called up into. Okay, so when you see these things that are taking place, you can watch that Yahweh Shai is actually moving these pieces because he's giving Esau this technology now. That's why it says he shall make his tongue to fall upon himself. And this is from Redacted. And it says, confirm Maui wildfires were intentionally set by GEO Engineering. And what should come to your mind? The prince of the air. This man he's the wicked. He's not Japhet. Okay, because in the Bible, there was a nation that was prophesied tried to sit in the seat of the Most High and claim to be the Most High. And how would you be able to do that if you didn't have God-like powers? Okay, but that was just a blessing that was given to him through Isaac, okay, that he was blessed with the sword, and that sword encompasses all different types of weaponry because geoengineering is a weapon, so that's a sword. What is a sword? Sword is a weapon, okay, so he's using things that could be used for good, and he's turning it into a weapon, okay, going all the way back to Cain, which is the name Kwayan, which represent a stabbing instrument or a dagger. Okay, so he's always had that vibration of weaponry on him. And then David said, hide me from the wicked, which is thy sword. So he is an actual living sword of Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's been put on this planet Earth. Okay, so I'm going to play this video. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to fast forward because this guy, he goes in and he breaks down a lot of these things. And he's telling you there's no way that was a natural occurrence. And it had to be used as geoengineering, and that this man is destroying the planet through these geoengineering. And what should come to your mind is the scriptures say that for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. All right. If those days are not shortened, then guess what? There shall be no flesh saved, because through this man's geoengineering and the things that he's doing, he's actually pushing the earth to the brink of destruction, because certain things are not supposed to be happening on the planet Earth, or things are set on the planet Earth that if you start manipulating and throwing things off, you're going to mess up the whole planet. And just like it reminds me of a clock. If you look at a clock has a intricate system, the winding of springs and cogs that help that watch just tell time. So the earth is based on the same type of technology. It has a lot of moving parts, but all those moving parts come together to give the earth its life, and to give its motion, and to give it its way of surviving. Okay, so if you start throwing those things off, all right, you're gonna mess up it. That's why it's called an ecosystem. Okay, it's a system. When you start messing with that ecosystem, and that includes the animals, and it even includes us on the earth. Everything is moving. If you're on the earth, you're meant to be on the earth. Okay, there's nothing that's here that the Yahweh Shem Yahushua hasn't set here. Okay, the plants, just like the bees pollinate the flowers help bring forth the fruits, and then the vegetables, the grass, all these things work in tandem. So when you start fucking with stuff, you're gonna throw it off, and then it's gonna be You can't fix it. Okay, what does it say? Irreversible. That's the word. Irreversible. So let's let him play, and then I'm gonna stop and go through some precepts as the Spirit allows. And Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson. Let's go ahead and play this.
Mod treaties, environmental modification treaties, forbidding that kind of weather manipulation for wartime purposes, but not over a country's own population. That's key. There's always those caveats, those loopholes. So again, that technology is not disputed scientifically, and
And this is fair use. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for any kind of monetary gain. This is just to show the information and to bring out this information. So this is fair use. Fair use.
Insinuation by official sources that there was anything natural about the Lahaina fires is ludicrous. It would be like, again, running someone over in a crosswalk and saying, hey, it wasn't me. People die. It's natural. No. When we have these factors that we know have a cause and effect, we have to resort to Occam's razor principle that all things being equal, the most likely causal factors can't be ignored. And again, when you have aircraft,
Occam's razor is the simplest answer is the best.
Dispersing desiccant particles that are also incendiaries, that disrupt the hydrological cycle, they cut off the precipitation, they coat the foliage and the structures with an incendiary dust. Whatever the source of ignition, then you blowtorch those flames through those urban regions. There is nothing natural about this. We saw the same thing in the Palisades fire, dried out completely, almost 9 months with zero rain in that location. Not a coincidence. We see the same thing, Clayton and Natalie, for example, in the Canadian fires from 2023, the drying out of those regions and the incineration there. We have peer-reviewed science study advocating, if you can imagine this, advocating for the intentional incineration of boreal forests as a form of geoengineering. Think about that. So again, with the Lahaina fire, there's nothing natural about the pressure zones that created the wind flows, nothing natural about the drying out of that region. Nothing.
So what is he speaking about? He's speaking about the power of the air. Okay. So let's get this precept real quick. This is the book of Ephesians, because this is how you know, and also 2 Thessalonians says that the son of perdition who must be destroyed. Okay. This is the book of Ephesians 2 and verse 2. Let's read NLT. It says, you used to live in sin just like the rest of the world. And that's speaking to the elect, because 2/3 of Israel is still going to be in sin. And just like Yahushua told the wicked Sadducees and Pharisees, says you're going to die in your sins. You're going to see me come with the thousands of angels. So those men are back here today. All right. And we have a pretty good idea who those men are. And they're showing themselves to be that those men coming back to taste that judgment. So they're not all Israel going to make it. Not all men that put on fringes and supposedly stand on the corners and chant down this place is going to make it. That's why the Lord said, I did not know you. All right. Some to say, Lord, Lord. And Yahushua is going to say, I didn't know you because you didn't grab the oil in the time where he was on the planet Earth. All right. Because they don't want to push the name. They don't want to push the right doctrine because they're not of the fold. They're not of his. They don't recognize the voice, because the voice of the Lord is speaking through men on the earth right now to rebuke and to correct. But men are not taking heed to that. OK. And it says, Lord, Lord, not all shall make it. OK, it says you used to live in sin just like the rest of the world, obeying the devil. OK, obeying the devil, the spiritual demon, Satan. And then you have what? His counterpart, which is the Edomites, the Idumeans on the planet Earth, which do the bidding of the left hand side. It says the commander of the powers of the unseen world. He is the spirit that worketh in the hearts of those who refuse to obey Yahweh. This is King James Version. It says, wherein in time past ye walked according to the curse of this world. See, the curse of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, which is the Edomites, the wicked. Okay, and he's doing it, and he has the power of the air. And that's what you can see geoengineering is manipulating the weather for his own goal. Okay. This is John 12 and verse 31. Now judgment is upon this world. Now the prince of this world will be cast out. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. It says, and Yahweh is the power of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers. Okay. The power of this age, which is the Edomites, which is ruled by the left-handed side, Okay, which is all of it all breaks down to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua still ruling, but it's the left-handed side. It says the power of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel, which is the good news. That's why they block the truth. They don't want the truth, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the true name, the true identity of his people to come out. Even if they don't want, they're pretending to be Israelites, but technically they don't want to be the real Israel of the Most High, because they don't want to come under the law, statutes, and commandments the right way. They just want to hide it. The best place to hide something that you cherish is on your own person, because they have to come to you to get it off of you. It's on your possession. So that's where he's hiding it on himself. He doesn't really want our identity, all right, because he knows he can't qualify to be the people of the Most High truly. And we're talking about the elites, but what they're doing is the best place to hide something is on yourself. So he put it on himself, and he's the ruler of this world. So he has the power, the money, the resources to be able to hide it the best. He's a living safe. Okay, if you want to break it down, Esau has made himself a living safe, and he's put in the greatest possession is who the true people of Yahweh is, which is you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are spread out through the four corners of the planet Earth. All right, and it says, the power of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of the Mashiach, Yahushai, who is the image of Yahweh. 1 John 5:19, we know that we are of the power, and that the whole world is under the power of the evil one. So that's where you see the ability to geoengineer, change weather, use these space-based weapons, these high-level weaponry that he's been given through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He's been given these things because that's the blessing going back to Isaac, which is the sword. Okay, so let's keep playing.
Nothing natural about the incendiary dust that coated everything. So again, this is verifiably a weather warfare event.
So your job expects you to be on time for work every day, but wants you to just wait 2 weeks for your pay?
Period.
Can I say something about the lasers? Now, in my report, and I encourage people to go watch that separate piece that we'll release separately on the current state of Maui and the rebuilding process. And in that report, I talked about the distraction. There was so much, I think, and maybe this is a sort of a look over here, not over here kind of thing on the lasers, the idea of using directed energy lasers to ignite
direct energy weapons, okay?
These fires. You think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you think that's a total distraction and takes away from the real story, which is the weather modification piece of this?
That narrative has done exactly that. So am I saying that directed energy weapons don't exist? No, I'm not saying that. They definitely exist. And especially when we look at, and many people don't associate installations like HARP in Alaska, which is an ionosphere heater. And there are many around the globe. There's another in Antarctica, and you guys have covered that, I believe, as well. That is a directed energy weapon, but not of the type that many people construe in relation to Lahaina, for example. So if we look at current technology, could an airborne platform actually ignite something on the ground? Yes, that technology definitely appears to exist. And if we look beyond that, once there's smoke in the air, or if there's any other type of cloud cover also obstructing a surface to ground trajectory, laser anything doesn't work, can't work. That's why the laser targeting in, for example, the Middle East can't work if there's any sandstorms or anything else. You cannot have obstructions. And
so he's telling you that they're using these weapons. They have lasers, they have all these things that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has given to them, and they're using it currently. That's why the scriptures say, for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. If their days are not shortened, there ain't gonna be no flesh remaining, okay? And that's a fact, because he's actually destroying the earth through his means and what he's doing now, okay? And he's going to play this part. Hold on.
Platform big enough to do people to focus on, again, is not a denial of very technologically advanced weapons that could be used under some circumstances. What we're trying to point out is that we have other forms of these weapons, like ionosphere heaters, that are creating the pressure zones. Again, the high pressure to the north of Lahaina, the anomalous low pressure to the south. Between you have this blowtorch wind field. That is, in fact, a form of directed energy weapon that's being used to manipulate the pressure zones. And the actual jet aircraft aerosol sprayed dispersions that have been occurring for weeks and months over a location like Lahaina are core to this issue. They establish conditions on the ground, a template with which once there's an ignition source, Clayton and Natalie, there's an unstoppable, catastrophic, completely unnatural blowtorch scenario. That's what happened.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
I think Philip has a question.
Go ahead, Philip.
Oh no, yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, like, if you can create those conditions.
Now listen to this part. This is where he asks a question. He says, "Why?" All right. So this is the main part of the video that I wanted to get. But listen to the question that this guy asked, and then listen to the response that he's given. Okay.
Zippo would take care of it. You don't need a laser. You know, it's like if you can create the conditions. Yeah. But like, so my question, because last time you were on, Dane, the Clayton and I were talking about afterwards, and it's the thing that like I can't get over mentally is the why. So if you have people that have this ability, like the capability of manipulating the weather, and they're dropping the aluminum nanoparticles everywhere, like they're poisoning the soil, they're basically making the earth unlivable for humans. So it's like the why.
He says making the earth unlivable for humans. Unlivable for humans. The scriptures are on point. That's why it says, for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, or there will be no flesh remaining. Nobody's going to live. He going to kill himself. And what should come to your mind? Murder, suicide. Why do you think Esau will go into a school and kill however many people and then kill himself, shoot himself? That's the type of person we're dealing with, but they are the ones that are ruling the world we have today. They want to kill as many people as they can and then eventually kill themselves because they have spiritual rabies. Okay, they're rabid. Just like you see an animal in the wild that gets rabies, they're violent. Okay, let's look it up. Let's look it up real quick. Watch this. Rabies. Hold on. See, it says, yes, rabies can cause violence in animals, particularly in the furious forms of rabies. Infected animals may exhibit aggressive behaviors, including biting and attacking without provocation. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, humans with rabies can also experience similar symptoms, including irritational aggression and attacks. Come on, man. So he has a version of rabies spiritually. That's why it says he got to do wicked. That's why the book of Psalms say unless he maketh something to fall, he can't go to bed. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the form you have. He's not thinking right. Once you understand that, just like if you deal with an animal that has rabies, you can try to talk to him. Hey, Fido, calm down. You okay, boy? That motherfucker gonna bite you, man. He's gonna bite you because he's not in his right. Even though he might be wild or you might be your domesticated dog, but let him go out there and catch rabies. He get bit by a raccoon or something, and then he might be your dog, and you might be like, Fido, what's wrong with you? And Fido, he's got the rabies. He's not in his right state of mind. So there's nothing we can talk to this man. That's why it says the wicked are estranged from the womb, man. There's nothing we could do. He has to do what he's programmed to do. The Most High has given him that spirit of violence in the land. What does Revelation say? He says he's been to take peace from the earth. So he can't do right. He has a version of rabies where he's violent and he's protagonistic. He's the one that he has to do what he's doing because he's the heavy of this story. Okay, all right. So let's go back to this. I just wanted to bring that quick thing out.
Ends up being like, do they want to be kings of a graveyard? But how are they going to survive? Like that's the thing that, like, what is the motivation behind it? Is it just ignorance, or is there I just don't understand the why?
That's such a key question, Phil. Thank you for asking. And yes, it's doing everything you described. In fact, the ubiquitous contamination of the planet with bioavailable aluminum nanoparticulates is sterilizing everything, soils, root systems. That's why every time the wind blows, you see trees tipping over now, because the root systems are dying off, just like the crowns are dying off. They're destroying the ozone layer. So few talking about that issue. That's an immediate existential threat by itself. No, it hasn't gotten better. No, it's not the hairspray cans. Climate engineering is the core causal factor for ozone destruction, which is, again, part of the drying out of Lahaina as well. So why would, quote, they do this to themselves? Because we're not dealing with sanity. We're literally not dealing.
We're not, just like I just brought out, you're not dealing with sane people. They have a rabies-like activity. They're not thinking right. And they infect their children, and they teach their children their ways, and the mindset of there's overpopulation. This earth is huge. It can put they say that you can put every human in Australia and still have land left. Every human on the planet Earth can be in one landmass of Australia. And that you can't, man, hold on. Let's see this. Watch this. Every human can fit in. They saying fit into that cube. Hold on. It says, believe it or not, the world's population can fit inside New York. Hold on. It says, believe it or not, the world's population can fit inside New York City. Though New York City is expected to surpass its population projection this year, rest assured that there's plenty of space in all of the folks, and then some. An amusing and quite informative experiment conducted by Tim Urban of blog Wait But Why takes a look at just how much space would need to fit the world's population comfortably. The investigation, which puts 7.3 billion folks cozily shoulder to shoulder, hinged on the assumption that you can fit 10 humans into a square meter. Urban analysts start with the question, how much ground area does each human need when we're bunched all together as closely as we could without killing everybody? The answer is found in about 0.1 square meters, which equals to about 10 people per square meter. The figure is drawn from above video, and 9 Canadian journalists squeezed themselves into the said space, which, although a little cozy, works out pretty well. Urban adjusts the number of counts. So pretty much it can fit into New York. So that overpopulation is bullshit. It's pure bullshit. There's so much land on the planet Earth that is not being used and not inhabited. But their mindset is that there's too many people. That's what they want to tell everybody. But that's the mindset of, just like animals that got rabies don't make sense. You don't try to deal with an animal that has rabies in any kind of form. You got to bind them up so they don't attack you and bite you, and you got to put them somewhere, man. So the Lord is going to do the same thing with these Edomites. That's why the 1,000 years, and then after that 1,000 years, it's over with. They're gonna be retired, man, which is justly so, because they'll hurt themselves. They'll kill themselves if the Lord doesn't do something with them. They're programmed to be a weapon. They're that's all they know. They don't know right. Okay. So let's keep playing.
With sanity. Why would they, the same they, ultimately those who print the money?
See,
that's who.
Those who what? Print the money. So we already know who that is. You can. If you don't know, you need to go learn. Okay, we're not gonna say it here. We already know who that is. Go do your research. If you're watching these videos this long, you should know exactly who he's talking about, and they know. Let's play that again.
Do this to themselves? Because we're not dealing with sanity. We are literally not dealing with sanity. Why would they, the same they, ultimately those who print the money, that's who's at the top of this food chain, why do this to themselves? Because we're not dealing with sanity. We are literally not dealing with sanity. Why would they, the same they, ultimately those who print the money, that's who's at the top of this food chain, why would they detonate hydrogen bombs in the magnetosphere? Project Starfish Prime, Project Fishbowl. They thought it could collapse the entire atmosphere. Did that stop them? No. There's no dealing with insanity. And the psychoanalysis of those in power reflects a common thread. And that thread is this, quote unquote, from the manual: a near total lack of comprehension as to the consequences of their actions, even to themselves. Does an addict care the next fix might kill them? No, they don't. They do it anyway. And we're dealing with
Just they're addicted to power. Just like somebody that's on heroin, they don't know that the next dose could kill them, but they still go get high. They still roll the dice. So they're rolling the dice on wickedness. Sin is an addiction. It's a drug. It's a sickness, man. Okay, just like you have addiction on any kind of drug or something, they're addicted to what they're doing, and it doesn't care what cost it is. Power. What does it say? Power corrupts, and total power corrupts totally. Okay, I think that's the saying. Power corrupts, and total power corrupts totally. Let's say power corrupts, and the saying "power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely" is a famous aphorism attributed to Lord Acton. Highlights the potential of power to lead to corruption. See? So that's what you're dealing with. Corruption. Total power corrupts totally. So let's get some precepts. We'll close on out. This is the book of Revelation 11 and verse 18. And it says, let's start at NLT. It says, the nations were filled with wrath, but now the time of the wrath has come. It is time to judge the dead and reward your servants, the prophets, those that are doing the work. All right, Yabashim Yahshai has the prophets on the earth that have been doing work, starting with the apostles and elders and their elders before them, those that have laid the foundation, okay, going all the way back to the man by the name of Abba Bivens, which we believe through the spirit and power of Yabashim Yahshai is Elijah coming back in the reincarnation to turn the hearts of the children back to the fathers and the fathers back to the children, okay? So we believe that that's those that can receive it. But that man has been back on the planet Earth and has served out his purpose, and that purpose is budding fruit now. Just like it says, it starts as a mustard seed, and that mustard seed has encompassed the whole earth. All right, and it says the nations were filled with wrath, but now the time of wrath has come. It is time to judge the dead and reward your servants, the prophets, as well as your holy people, which is the Israelites. A reward is coming to us, man. Why do you think we do this labor and we do this work? It's not for nothing. It's not like working for Esau. You work and you don't get shit and you just get thrown to the side. That's not how it works, man. The Lord he said he has eyes have not seen and ears have not heard the things that he has prepared for them that love him. So the Lord is getting ready to cut checks, man. Crowns are getting handed out, man. Glory is coming to the nation of Israel, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, regardless of who fucking believes it. We don't care about your opinions no more. That's what does it say? We ran out of fucks to give, man. And I speak that as wholeheartedly as possible. We don't need these nations. These nations need us. They've raped our children. They've destroyed us as a nation. They've spit upon us. They've shit upon us. They've made us, experimented on us, and no one was there. The Heavenly Father in His mercy sent His Spirit down, man, and the Comforter to us. None of these nations put us in graves. So none of these nations are getting a part of our inheritance. Fuck what y'all talking about, man. Y'all ain't getting a part of this inheritance. You're going into bondage, and you're going to clean up the fucking mess that you made, and you're going to be under the law, statutes, and commandments, thus saith the Holy Bible, man. And death ain't nothing. We die daily. That's what the scripture said, man. This world ain't nothing for it. This is not our world, man. We don't take no credence for this. And if you take the mark for this world, you deserve to go with it. Bottom line, cold hard facts, man. All right, so if you guys are playing with the MOTB, keep playing when it's in your face. When you have to make that decision, you have to make it. And then what does it say? He that laughs, laughs. He that laughs the best. Okay? So with the time of coming, the reward is coming to the people of Israel, man. You Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the elect first, and then it's going to transcend unto the rest of the nation of Israel. Okay? So this ain't the time of Jake, keep playing, man. But we ready to get the fuck up out of here, man, and get to living and get to life and getting to enjoying this planet that was made for our sakes. Eden, man. Paradise, man. Eating fruits, veggies, and things we haven't. Man, I can't wait, man. Can't wait. Salakia for that rant, man. But this place will get you out of pocket, man. All right, the nations were filled with wrath, but now the time of the wrath has come, and the time to judge the dead and reward your servants, the prophets, as well as your holy people, and all who fear your name. You come on now. So we already know who don't fear the name, and y'all ain't making it, my boy. From the least to the greatest, it is time to destroy all who have caused destruction on the earth. King James Version, the nations were angry, and the wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Okay? And then here's Isaiah 25:4 and verse 5. It says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the law, statutes, and commandments, and the nature's laws, man. You ain't supposed to be geoengineering a damn thing. The fuck? That's saying you sitting in the seat of God. That's what 2 Thessalonians says. Okay? The son of perdition who must be destroyed, man. So all these are leading to Esau, and he can't escape. He's done. The man is done. He can run around. You better be in a deep, deep bunker. You better go deep. If you deep, dig deeper. Okay? And you're still not going to escape, man. All right? And it says, because they have transgressed the law, changed the ordinances, not just days. They changing shit in the earth. Where this is supposed to be, they want to change it because they can. And it says, broken the everlasting covenant. So Yahweh Shem Yahshai is going to judge this man, bro. No, bottom line, this is NLT. The earth suffers for the sins of its people, for they have twisted God's instructions, violated his laws, and broken his everlasting covenant. All right? And that's what you see taking place on the planet Earth right now with Esau ruling in the wickedness that he's ruling, man. All right, so Lord willing, I'm going to leave it there as an edifying lesson. And with that, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Machak, until the next time, I say shalom, and more now to never keep faith. We're in the time of the end. Great things are getting ready to take place on the planet Earth for the people of Yahweh and the judgment of the wicked that has been destroying the planet Earth. And it ain't us, okay? People want to be mad at us because Jake in the hood selling crack. But you got this man that's fucking cracking the damn atmosphere, and no one got nothing to say about it, man. All right, so with that, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Machak, until the next time, I say shalom, and more, and I don't never keep faith. Shalom.